Hi there. This month, I wanted to do a video for you as well as the written article because this one, it is around feedback. Now, a lot of the time I do go through and I coach and train about how to deliver feedback really well. The structuring side, being able to consider the environment, the type of response that may come through, how to have hard conversations, how to be constructive, and all the different considerations. Now, this is all key. However, today, what I'm going to go through with you is a different perspective. It is around receiving feedback. Because if people take the time to go through all of the work to deliver feedback really well and constructively, concisely, proactively, positively, all of those things, really taking it through to next level to enable the person to feel seen and heard. But if you are not of the mindset where you can receive that information in the way that's intended, then you are taking away your capacity to do something about it. Now, this can be through a variety of different reasons. It could be perhaps you're tired. It could be you're having a bad day. There could be any number of things. Like, we fluctuate as human beings. Some days we have good days, sometimes bad. That's the nature of it, right? But the challenge is if you are regularly being defensive and not able to receive information that others are giving you when it's coming from a really genuine, helpful, well-intended place, then it's time to just review where you're at and what's blocking you from receiving any feedback. Because us as people, there is a few ways where we can really truly grow, because we can't see our blind spots. That's why they're blind spots. This is what takes you from being good to great and from great to exceptional, that mastery level. You can't see every single stage. That will quite often come from external sources. Now, if you are not able to hear that in a way to really take it on board and just grow from it, then you're denying yourself opportunity. Now, quite often at the moment, and look, this is just a perception, I do see a lot of barriers in place, whether it be in the workplace, personal lives, where people don't want to take on board different opinions, whether it be like social media is probably the worst. It's that instant gratification, people just wanting agreement, acceptance, but that's not the real world. And that's quite dull. Like, we have different opinions, we have different values, different experiences, and they are all valid. But when we do not have the capacity to take on board different views, we are literally restricting ourselves. Now, for here, I would like you to have a think about if you are regularly feeling where you cannot take on board feedback, if it's something that really is, it doesn't land well with you, have a think about the intention by the person that's communicating it. Hearing difficult feedback, it can be a bitter pill to swallow. Absolutely. It can be hard to hear things that we don't want to, especially if we've done something that it hasn't come across or been done as we hoped it would. It can have feelings of guilt or shame all interlinked in there. And those things are very genuine and real human emotions and feelings to be able to process through. But if you get too hung up on this, then you will stay there. So you're taking away your capacity to be able to do something about it and really get to the best performance that you possibly can. So if this is something that comes up for you, if you find you're in a bit of a pattern where you don't like hearing feedback, then have a think around this. There's 5 different tips that I've got here for you. Now, one is to look at breathing. Like, pause for a second, take it on board, and don't get lost or jump straight into response. Just breathe and stop. Now, the next is to see it from the other person's perspective. if you're about to just go into jumping and defensiveness, just stop. Just try and see if you can absorb it and listen to where they're really coming from, not just on your perspective, because not everything we think is true. I mean, if you think about this, we have what, 12 to 60,000 thoughts a day. We can't control all our own thoughts, let alone what's coming from somewhere else. So I want you to have a think about if the meaning you're giving it, if that is real, where it's coming from, or if there is another perspective to really see it from. So it's being able to start being really objective and logical and not just jumping straight into story or feeling defensive or walls coming straight up. That stops you from growth, which takes me on to the next point, which is viewing feedback as a growth tool. So if you're in the workplace, for example, if you're creating this kind of continuous growth phase and really positive feedback and not toxic positivity, I'm talking about where people feel emotionally safe. This is that psychological trust, psychological safety, where people can receive information. They know it's coming from a genuine place. They feel supported to grow. They feel supported to make mistakes. And that is all seen as learning and growth. So if that is the kind of environment that you're in, then take the feedback like that. If you're not happy about it, communicate why, what's coming up for you, and even say, look, this didn't land well with me, and this is why. Talk about it. Don't allow any resentment to build or any frustration on here. It is to look at next steps and what you can go forward and take from it. Now, I have gone through breathing. I have gone through the pause. And then lastly, I want you to think about this. The last tip I can give you is get real with yourself. You are human. You are not always going to be perfect. Perfect literally doesn't exist. There are areas for every single one of us to keep on growing in. And the more you grow, the more you'll realize that there is of growth and learning to go. So feedback, absolutely learn to deliver it well, but equally learn to receive it really well. This is honoring yourself. This is honoring your path, your progression. And this is really leaning into self-trust and self-confidence when you can hear information that is not always good, that's sometimes more challenging. That is full ownership. That is really a value and a quality to be admired. So we're not just here to just get participation medals and recognition with our effort. We are here to go above and beyond. And I know that is possible for every single person. So I hope this has helped. Thank you for watching and listening. And please reach out if you've got any questions, if you want to encourage this continuous growth cycle and feedback, positive feedback culture in your workplace. I'd love to hear from you to talk about how we can do that. Thank you so much.